Sit down, sit down, sit down, sit down. First of all, George, Celise, thank you guys for having me. This is my first time here speaking with and for the Walt Disney Company and Out and Equal. I'm actually an employee of the Walt Disney Company, so that's cool. My name's Abby Wambach. I'm a retired soccer player, and I use the pronouns she and her. Now let me tell you this story briefly. I was at Mount Holyoke College a couple weeks ago doing a speech, and this transgender man walked up to ask me a question, and he introduced himself as Emmett and he used the pronouns he and him. And I was like, hold on a second, what was that? And I didn't know that this was a thing, right? I feel like I'm kind of the gayest of the gay. So when I learn new things, I always get really excited. So maybe this is one thing you can take away from not just my talk, but this week that you're here learning about diversity and inclusion and best practices. And I think it's really important that whether you are gay or not, that's something that you can absolutely clarify when you introduce yourself. And for me, especially because I'm a little bit more masculine in my femininity, but I'm cool with that, you know? But I think it's really important, no matter who you are, that you feel whatever it is, the gender identity that you have, you feel comfortable acknowledging that and announcing that. Now, I think that for me, it's been, 20-something years since I've been gay. And that's because 20 years ago, I was fighting a lot of things, whether it be a small town, Irish Catholic upbringing, my mother probably not really wanting me to be who I was, probably the little kid that she knew that I was. She wanted a little baby girl that was into dresses. She had 4 boys before me, so I can't blame her. Maybe she was just like done with that. But for me, it taught me so many things being a kid. And then when I get into my college years, I come out to my team. I was the first openly gay person on my soccer team at the University of Florida. Go Gators. And I realized then, because my mom was this Irish Catholic woman who was set in her ways, I hadn't come out to her yet. I knew that I had to kind of be righteous a little bit in my gayness and in my sexuality, because I didn't want her to think for 1 second that this was like a phase. You know how when y'all came out, parents always think it's a phase. Well, it wasn't. I mean, I buzzed my hair in college, right? And I'm like, Mom, really? Like, you didn't get it then? So when I came out to her, I was 22 years old, and her first question, and please do not share this with her. It's a little embarrassing, but her first question, and it's in my book, can't believe I'm actually telling you this story. Her first question was, do you have one of those strappy things? You guys, I am not making this up at all. I took the biggest gulp of water in the history of my life, and I thought, how in the hell am I going to be able to answer this? And I said, Mom, do you ask any of my brothers and sisters about what they do sexually? And she said, no. And I said, do you want to start now? She said, no. So that was good. And then as I grew older and I got into the national team, the national team, the 99 World Cup team, they were kind of long-haired, the All-American team. And here I come, I've got short hair. I'm unapologetic about it. Even though I wasn't like out in the world, in the like public world, everybody on my teams knew that I was gay. My family at that point knew that I was gay because I came out to my mom. And I really felt like at that point, I didn't want to speak for everybody on the team. I was scared because especially I was one of the best players. I was scoring a lot of goals. I grew out my hair. I had long hair at that point. And I was scared to represent and kind of speak for everybody a little bit. And then as time went on, I realized, you know what? I don't want to be this person like waving this rainbow flag. I didn't want to be not necessarily the person that everybody looked to as like this gay icon. I wanted to be known as a soccer player, as a person who like happened to be gay. Because nobody, like there is no straight flag, you know? And I think it's really important, you know, Out and Equal, amazing. Because 20th anniversary, I think it's amazing what you're doing, teaching each other, going back to your companies, going back to your states, going back to your communities and teaching each other about other practices, best practices. But it begs the question, is it more important to be out or is it more important to have equality? So throughout my career, I've seen it all in so many different ways. Discrimination, acceptance. And what I've found is if you're just honestly who you are and unapologetic about it, people can meet you there. But what people are uncomfortable with is if you're scared a little bit, if you're a little bit hesitant or shy about wanting to talk about who you are. Now, when I got married, it went on TMZ and ESPN, they got a hold of it, and it was like this news. And I was like, it's not news to me. I never felt like I needed to actually come out. Because even though this is in 2013, I think that like gone are those days. Like we need to start actually embracing this new consciousness that we're in, this new realm of people actually seeing us and not us having to go, I'm gay! You know? Like it's like, okay, I'm this, I'm that, and the fact that you're gay, for me, does not matter. You know, ESPN, I'm now an employee of ESPN, and a huge reason why I chose this company is because their president, John Skipper, amazing man, decided in 2015 to give the ESPY Arthur Ashe Award to Caitlyn Jenner. Yes. And actually, it was after the 2015 World Cup. We were going on this fun tour. We had this like amazing ticker tape parade in New York City. Happened to be the next night. Taylor Swift was playing, and she asked us to like come on stage. It was amazing. And during the concert, I got this phone call, and it was like this private phone call, and it was the executive producer of the ESPY Awards. She said, I need to talk to you. I was like, okay, what's up? She goes, this is very private. No matter what you say, I need this to stay between us. And I was like, okay. She goes, would you mind presenting the Arthur Ashe Award to Caitlyn Jenner? And I go, no bleeping way. Like excited. And she was like, oh. And I was like, no, yes, that was a yes. Of course. And she said, oh my gosh, thank you so much. Like that's the only answer we would really want because this is such a big deal. And I was like, well, what do you mean? She said that they had called 2 previous athletes and they said no. And it was so important to Skipper that this award was going to Caitlyn. And the thing about it, and I don't care what your opinion is of the Kardashians or formerly Bruce or now Caitlyn, but what she has done has single-handedly put the transgender community on the map, like literally. She's made us more educated, she's made us more accepted, she's made us more understanding. And I say us because guess what? The LGBTQIA+, I don't know all the things now, every day it changes. But this is our community. And you guys know firsthand exactly what you're doing in your companies and your businesses to better those practices, to make all of us a little bit more comfortable. I did this interview a couple weeks ago. I released a book, and I was talking about this book on air on NPR, Terry Gross, and she asked me a specific question about my sexuality and how I knew that I was gay, and that did I need to sleep with a guy to know that I was actually gay? And evidently that's like offensive. But here's the thing, you guys, and this is something that like maybe you can take back to your companies and take back to your community. I think that we've become such a society with all of these social issues, and every day a new word pops up. And every day we have to be held accountable to not being so offensive. But here's the thing, how are we gonna learn, right, if we don't ask questions? I was asked a poignant question, and I answered it. I wasn't offended, because here's the thing, the things that are offensive are when people don't ask. The moments, yeah. I would rather be asked a question, and it may be done in an offensive way, to be able to respond and answer and educate, so that person might be able to create a better way of asking for the next time. Or they know now. I think so much about our society, we're held to these massively high standards. And so what it's preventing us from doing is actually coming together and actually communicating, actually talking about stuff. I believe conversation brings us together. I believe all of our differences actually brings us together. I write about this stuff in my book in terms of labels. You guys, I think labels are bullshit. I do. I've done it, you've done it, I've done it to myself, I've done it to other people. But what I've learned throughout my life, what I've learned throughout my career is that whether I was a soccer player or a lesbian or a dyke or a tomboy or an addict or, the only label that I need to actually really adhere to and think about and be is human. Because what's happening is we're putting ourselves in these boxes, these labeled boxes, and we cut ourselves off from each other. The reason why we do that is because if I'm in this little box, I feel a little bit safer. Because I have like this little community, I have these walls up. But what that's doing, it's cutting us off from all these other opportunities and possibilities and ability to expand. We can challenge each other to kind of break away these boundaries and walls. We can challenge each other to not just be better at our job, but like, let's be better humans. You don't have to literally pay to be a good person. You have to just earn the things that you do in your life by all the little choices that you make. And when you start pointing fingers outward and not towards yourself, like, what can I do better for this world? Then that's judgment. I personally believe that rooms like this, think about this, 20 years ago, Celise, what was the attendance 20 years ago? Was 150. 150, right there. Just think about that. Think about what was going on 20 years ago. Think about how far we've come. Think about how in 20 years, how much further we will have gone. You guys, what you're doing isn't just important, it's our civil rights movement of our time. And you guys are the ones on the front lines. You guys are going back to your companies. You guys are the ones that are going back to your communities and teaching people about things that you learn here. You are not alone. There are millions of us out there that are trying to better the world, that are trying to better the business world, for me, the sports world, for others, the political world. But we need you all to stay strong, to be positive. And my God, like, let's not be so offended so easily. Let's just start communicating with each other. And start a conversation with, hey, I don't mean to be offensive, but I truly don't know. I don't know if it's LGBTQIA+. Like, I'm the gayest of the gay, and I literally don't know what the most up-to-date acronym to use for it is. But you have to remember that if you believe in something, and you believe in something not just as who you are, but that you want to leave the space that you're in now better than you found it, that's truly the most inspiring work you can do. And what you're doing here is proof of that. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate you coming. I think we have some gifts. Where are the gifts, people? Where are the balls? There they are. Who wants one? So hit somebody in the head. All right. Last one. Thank you guys so much. Keep doing all your hard work. We really need it. Thank you guys.